Hey everybody, welcome to session 18 of the Baali Chronicles. We had a little break there over the holidays, so hopefully you guys missed us. Welcome back to the fun. We are picking back up now about 2 weeks after we left off, I want to say. There are essentially 11 to 12 days before the ritual is ready to prepare on Narissa's side, although you guys have definitely thrown a massive monkey wrench into the equation for her because you guys killed a couple of her sacrifices she had lined up already. Those are now gone. However, in the process of doing so, you earned $125,000 from the other La Sombra in the city. So that's, a silver lining to every cloud, right? It's been a little while. You guys will get up. I'm going to put everybody at Hunger 1. It's been relatively okay. It's still difficult to feed due to all the increased presence of police on the street and just, unknown watchers essentially. So that's been making things a bit difficult around the rack. You guys have managed to scrounge up some blood effectively and sate your hunger. Quincy has, as he last informed you, he's gotten a couple of nests from both Milwaukee and the Indianapolis area to come up to the Chicago area. And as far as he told you last when you guys spoke, they've got things on an even keel now. Their wells are kind of counteracting the influence right now that Narissa's people are gaining by performing their sacrifices. So at this point, it's an even playing field. You know also that Narissa considers the Hyatt well compromised, but she still needs it for the right. So it is what it is. You start to wake up as you're sleeping in your beds, and as you start coming to, you realize that all of you are laying next to each other on this marble floor. You're not waking up in your beds at your haven. You're waking up somewhere else. What happened during the day or how you got here, you have no idea. You just know as you wake up, you're in this massive temple. Jeff, this temple is very familiar to you. You had a vision of this as Sullivan quite some time ago. There's a massive well with like a wall, half wall built up around it in the middle of this room, and there are Corinthian style pillars around the area that you're in. When you wake up, it's empty. There's a bit of light that's been streaming down from some torches that are on the pillars itself. It's casting this like yellow and reddish glow over everything. It's warm. It's got to be easily 70, maybe 80 degrees in here as you guys start to come to life. The smell is one of burning pitch and incense intermingling. And as far as you're aware, you wake up by yourselves. You just see each other, but no other sounds are coming into this massive room.
When we wake up, I'll just be like, what the fuck? This is the same room that I had that vision in. Like, this was the room I saw. But it was filled with people.
Okay. Well, how'd we get here?
I know what you know.
You're wearing your normal clothes. Like, what did you guys went to sleep with the morning before is what you wake up in.
I'll get up and I'll start looking around, trying to find a way to, a point of egress or, a place where we could get out of here or how.
So Lamont stands up and you start looking around and you see that this room is so large that the outer perimeter is kind of shrouded in shadow. And as you walk towards that shadow and try to peer past it, you're just seeing it continue on forever. As you walk into it, you guys see him kind of walk out of the torchlight that's around the well central area that you're in. He appears on the other side and walks in.
I am going to rely on my powers of Auspex to look around and see if anything is amiss, or I'm going to use heightened senses and sense the unseen to get a what the fuck.
So with your sense the unseen, nothing seems off. Everything seems normal, which is completely odd because clearly things are not normal if Lamont's walking one direction and coming from the other direction. Your heightened senses pick up a soft series of footsteps coming from like ahead of you guys when you woke up. It just sounds like one person walking. Approaching slowly.
I'll just say somebody's coming.
Well, then we might as well just sit and wait and talk to them.
You guys will sit for a moment and just wait this out. And it takes probably about a good 2 or 3 minutes before you see this figure start to emerge out of the darkness ahead of you, across the well from you. And what you see is Narissa walking up. Narissa's wearing this old, like, ceremonial gown, however. It's almost Athenian in scope. It's got this white fabric that kind of drapes down over her collarbone and over her chest. The collar itself has embroidered like runes or sigils on it that you can't make out from the distance. Well, actually, press it with your heightened senses. They are sigils that you guys use often. It's like that Akkadian script that's around her neck. The cuffs of her sleeves are the same way. She's actually wearing what appears to be sandals by the sound of it as she's walking across the marble floor. And she just walks calmly to the other side of the well from you, lays her hand on that half wall, and just smiles at the three of you. Brothers?
Funny seeing you here, I guess.
Not particularly. I've brought you here. You're still asleep at home. Don't worry about that. But I felt we need to have a more dignified family chat, so to speak.
I'm all ears.
All right, Freddie, what do you got to say?
Listen, I want to give you a last chance, effectively. You know, your great-grandsire will be waking up. It's just going to happen. There's no way to stop that at this point. Whether it happens this year, 11 years from now, whenever, it's going to happen. And when he wakes up, the entity that's been somewhat attached to him is going to rouse a bit from its slumber as well. Now, if it was up to me, I would have probably killed the lot of you already. But your great-grandsire had plans for you. He actually started giving you gifts that you've denied. He had places for you in the grand scheme of things the way he wanted them to unfold. He had the prophet, and she gestures towards Sullivan, the priest, and she gestures towards Preston, and the patriarch, and she just kind of looks over at Lamont. You all were given gifts. Some of you used them, some of you didn't. But in the end, you denied them when you decided that you wanted nothing to do with him. I wouldn't start to say that hurt his feelings, but there was still hope that you would come back into the fold, effectively. And all you have to do is ask. But I think that there's a miscommunication here, a misunderstanding with what we're doing and what you think is happening. From what I gather from your efforts and what the lengths you've gone to try to stop me, you believe that I intend to wake everybody up.
I'll just continue to look at her.
Doesn't matter if it's everybody or one.
It does, because there are ones around the world that are already starting to stir. Just look at the place and you can tell. This particular child wakes up, or at least comes to semblance of awareness by waking up your grandsire. Will it hurt the world? Yes, it will. But it's not going to awaken the rest. It will give us the power to keep them lulled until we're ready. This is not a situation where one wakes up, everybody wakes up. This is controlled. At least it will be if you let me finish what I'm doing. And I'm here to offer you a place back at the table, simply because he would like you to be.
That's wow. That's awfully kind of you.
There is no going back after this. I just want to make sure we're clear at that. If you want to get flippant, you can.
It just leaves us with a lot to think about.
Well, it leaves you with a choice to make before you wake up.
It does. It seems like a choice we would need longer than a day to decide, but
sadly, you don't have that time.
That's interesting. What do you guys think?
I think it's a little bit arrogant, if I'm honest.
Well, I mean, arrogance is not uncommon for our kind, so yeah, arrogant, but...
Sure, but assume you could potentially have any sort of control over something like that, even right now, with, your current
What
state.
do you think you're assuming you have control over? You're trying to tell me I'm assuming control over this thing? You're assuming you have control to stop it.
Well, I mean, stop it, delay it, let it happen. Those are all choices we're discussing right now, right? Isn't that what's happening?
Sullivan, you are the sweetness of your words. It's not lost on me. You see, that is the difference between us. You are arrogant enough to think that this is an issue of control, one way or the other.
I'm not the one who brought control. You are.
There is no control. We don't have the ability to control one way or the other, only to slow it down. We know
You don't even have
it's
that.
inevitable.
So I just assume that you're resigned to your fate then, since you know that there's no way you can have control. And
Our
your
clan
answer
is
is no.
designed to our fate. And that's where you've lost your way.
I haven't
That's
lost
where
anything.
you think you're the sheep herder and not the sheep.
First
we
off,
only exist to slow the inevitable destruction of this
we
world.
don't even exist to do that. That's where I think it's hilarious where this line has been diluted to. Your way of thinking is
We're
incorrect.
embraced to die.
No. You're
We've
embraced
made
to
our
serve.
choice. We made our choice when we
Cool.
were embraced.
If you made your choice, then there's nothing more to talk about. You guys will
There
wake up.
wasn't anything to talk about when I went to...
You guys will wake up in your beds.
I'll toss the blanket off. I don't know if I'd even use one, but and I'll go to their rooms and be like, hope I wasn't overstepping my boundaries there.
So you guys will all wake up pretty much at the same time. Like as she's like, then you've made your choice, and I said you guys wake up. Like literally, you all like wake up in your beds in your haven.
Like the Boondock Saints.
If she wasn't happy with us before, she's definitely not happy with us now.
Well, she wasn't happy with us to begin with because we're fucking up her
I'd
plans.
Piss
She
on her
wouldn't have-
happiness.
She wouldn't have done that if we weren't at least a slight thorn in her side.
Yeah.
So regardless of what she says we're doing or we're not doing, we know what we're doing. We know it's affecting her. She wouldn't give a shit.
One way or the other, it doesn't really matter to me. I understand. I've had an epiphany, and I understand what must be done. And this plan, like all of our great plans, involves fire. Come with me, guys. Let's sit down and
Fires
have
of
a chat.
purity. Sure.
Let's have a chat, shall we?
Absolutely.
So, we need to reach out to those willing to give us favors. And why we need to do this is so that we can prepare the Hyatt for the destruction of her well. And all we need to do is utilize the already existing individuals that dwell within the building, the First Light and whatnot.
And all its patrons.
Yes, we piggyback off of that, and we do daytime renovations of the hotel. We have daytime renovations on the hotel done under the guise of our construction crew hunting down and destroying the resting place of the vampires, right? So we need to find someone that we can get into with that's a part of this First Light, or maybe we even don't, but just we under the guise of this, they're there. We cordon off this building, and then we just have we have a construction crew come in and just begin to do repairs on the fire escape, on the fire stairs. Every hotel has them. And then, meanwhile, we rent out whatever rooms we need to perform our ritual. And then we culminate in a fire, and we drop all of the fleeing patrons and occupants of the building right down. We just do that.
A massive sacrifice, basically.
Yes. We don't even really have to start a fire. We just have to make them believe there is one. But at that point, why wouldn't we start a fire?
Right. And then...
I don't know if it'll work. It's contingent on a lot of things going our way and favors and individuals not knowing why we need those favors. Of course, we would say that instead of risking, blah, 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 important, high status, mucky muck, highfalutin kindred of the city, we take it upon ourselves like we have so many times in the past to get the job done. And then before they know what's actually happened, we've slaughtered the entire building full of people and hopefully completed this ritual, this sacrifice. And if not, then we're dead. But either way, we've tried.
Ray,
That's
did we
my-
ever hear about how it went with the group that was going into the Hyatt to storm the gates, as it were? Did that go down?
So it got pushed off that you know of. It was supposed to happen like literally the next night. The vote went through and it was approved, but it's not going to happen until probably like literally tomorrow or so. It got pushed back a couple weeks for preparations and to see if the First Light presence kind of calmed down, because nobody wanted to fucking jump in and have to tangle with whatever's down there if it is an issue plus First Light. So they waited until the First Light kind of died down a bit before they went in to do this type of thing.
All right.
The First Light, they're not staying at the Hyatt. They've just been like active around
when they went. So when Sullivan and Preston went there to check out the Hyatt and see what was going on there, they just saw like tons of like government vans.
Okay, cool. That makes it even easier.
Over the past couple of weeks or so, or like past week or so, they still will show up occasionally, but there's not nearly as many. Like they're not staying at the hotel. They were there to observe what's going on because there was some seriously weird activity there.
That makes it even better then, because we don't have to like get in with anybody on Project First Light or any of that bullshit. We just need to basically whoever's the manager of this fucking hotel. We just have to manipulate / dominate / convince
/ entrancement
presence.
Right. Whatever we have to vampire them into allowing us to do this, like it as if it were their own idea. So that's not a struggle as far as I'm concerned. And so we actually shouldn't need as much like favors from any other vampires, because honestly, I feel like this is something we could do on our own. We could find out who the management is and, manipulate them, whatever.
The hardest thing would be the construction crew.
Yeah, but to get the building to implode upon itself, that's an endeavor.
Right. But here's the thing. I don't think that the building needs to implode in on itself. I think that, and I'm not a structural engineer in any way. I don't actually know that this would work, but my idea is that the inner hallway, the like sort of fire escape that everyone uses to get out in case of a fire, we just have renovations done on that, wherein we weaken those structures, and we get access to this construction crew, whoever it is, so that we are able to somehow make it fail, and then we have everyone, either we leak information to Project First Light to come into the building, or we stage something so that there are a lot of people in this stairwell, whether it's a party or something like that, and then we use that construction crew and their knowledge to have it collapse into the basically collapse inward into the bottom of the building. So we don't really need to like drop the whole building.
You just want to drop the stairwells.
Right. Just where people will congregate, where there are a lot of people, use that to collapse into this pit.
Okay. The big thing you're running into is you still have to make it a sacrifice. So if it was originally like the whole building, you guys would be in there for like nights upon nights, inscribing sigils into like the cardinal directions and basically ritually preparing the site. If you're looking to do just the stairwell, it's going to take you, or the stairwells, it's going to take you probably just as much time, but then you'll have to have people paint over things to keep the sigils, etc., hidden, so that when these people go in there, it's not like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this fucking like, Hellraiser shit in the stairwell. Don't go in there,
Well, so that's what we would have. What we would have to do, I think, the fundamentally what we would have to do is we would have to find a construction company or construction crew and get in there, either blackmail them or presence them to God to do what we specify, or to come with us and basically hide our work. And then we'd also need the management of the hotel that we would need to fucking blackmail or presence to God to let us in the building to do, make it seem like, oh yeah, our building does need some renovation, but it's okay. Like, everything will be operational while the building is going, but we know it won't be.
Right.
So basically we just need like a construction crew, and we need management of the Hyatt. So, which neither of those things I think are going to be like an easy thing to accomplish, but Yeah, that's what
Okay.
that's my plan. I'm open and willing to hear alternatives or better plans, obviously.
The stairwell
Well-
collapses. How do we know it's over the well?
It's under the Hyatt, right?
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
where the stairwell is, if we collapse
They
the
don't-
stairwell, what's to say that it's going to collapse into the well?
So they don't have to collapse into the well. They just have to be dedicated
just-
to it. So
to the
remember,
well, right.
remember when you guys went out to the Bahari Gardens and found that sacrifice site was tethered to that well? You kind of have to do the same thing,
All right.
right? You have to target the well with the sacrifice.
Right.
You're close enough where you probably won't have to really like go down there and do anything specific for too long, but you do have to have some sort of link between the well and those stairwells, right? Sympathetic link could be
Right.
like rock or dirt from around the well that you guys mix into the sigils you carve in or paint in. It could be, even just a mystical attachment, like you shed blood in the well, take some of that, some of the same blood, and take it into the stairwells and put those into the sigils. Like you need some sort of sympathetic link to go from one to the other, which means you will have to go down below again,
We
That's-
will have
that's-
to go back to that well.
right?
So,
But the
what I'm
stairwells don't
thinking
have to
is-
empty into the well.
we're gonna need to probably make a sacrifice of sorts to make that sympathetic link. We'll take someone unconscious, doesn't matter really who it is or where we get them from, but we need to use their blood to create a sympathetic link
couldn't
with
we just-
what we're doing.
Couldn't we just use some of our own blood?
You could.
It's risky.
We need to our way
How
in
much?
there.
How much of a sympathetic bond does that give us to them? Is the issue I'm coming up with. Just
What difference does
because
that,
no-
I don't know, so this is why I'm asking you. What difference does that make? Because
Well-
at this point, she has enough of a bond with us to be able to converse with us simultaneously in our dreams.
That's true. That is true. And that's, well, there was, the reason I bring up sympathetic link is because just a couple of days ago, we went to ruin her day by getting rid of the rest of her mortal family, which were also her retainers.
Mhm.
I fed on one because I was hungry and we were killing them anyways. And you can ask Preston.
Got
I
all
mean,
up in you.
it altered me until we got home and I was expelled out of my body. Now that's just to her. This is a well that dwarfs our well.
Yeah,
And the entity that resides within.
But
I mean,
you have to understand, we have a sympathetic link with the entity that resides within already. But we aren't ingesting her blood. We aren't.
right.
We are.
No, I'm not
using
saying it gives us a
our-
link to her. It gives us a link to whatever
We
well
already have
that
it.
is linked to.
Well, I
It
mean,
just makes it stronger.
to me, and again, you are the expert here, so I defer to your expertise in this. But I feel like our blood, the strength of our blood, would create a greater link to this well than a simple human sacrifice that is
That's
sort
fair.
of
And I'm not
weaker-
against it. I'm apprehensive. That's all.
What's the worst that can happen?
Well, if we need to get
Use your
back down
imagination, I
there,
guess.
the way to do it is probably with the group that's going down there to check it out. And then we use that as a distraction to get whatever information or do whatever prep work we need.
Sure. Or, I mean, we know how to get down there multiple ways now. We don't necessarily have to go down there with them either.
Well, I don't
No, but if we
necessarily. I feel like we should probably do our best to ensure no one goes down there.
Well, that's not
That
going
ain't
to
gonna
happen.
happen.
There was already a vote that took place. They're sending a group of individuals down there to assess the threat.
Per
How big of a
Portia,
group?
the group was going down there, and if Portia wants something to happen, it's gonna fucking happen.
Oh. Okay,
How many
well-
people? Well, the sheriff,
Well,
all the
okay.
deputies, probably a couple elders.
And we
Well, then-
blew some boons to push votes in that direction.
Why
Right.
don't we just offer our, forget it, just let them go down. A worst case scenario, they're destroyed, and we'll work on, under the guise of trying to aid the city, we'll work on manipulating the staff so that prying eyes don't look too deep.
Yeah, because the impression that I got is that this little excursion down there is going to end badly.
Of course it's going to end badly.
Even if it's not Narissa, I don't think Narissa's chill to have anywhere else to go. I think if anybody's going to be down there, it's going to be her chill.
I
Well.
just want to throw out there that we could go through with this plan
Mhm.
and go through all this and shut down this one well, and that would set Narissa back for a decade or whatever it is, and that would be fine. Alternately, we could get rid of all of the wells.
Okay. To what end and how?
Well, it would be chaos because it sounds like external forces would be called in to assist in nuking everything, essentially. We're talking about probably a citywide reset. And now might be a good time for it because with the state of things and how much disruption I'd like to say that we've caused here, things are a little bit weak politically. And I don't really think, after all they've been through with the Sabbat and everything else going on, that I don't think they could weather this.
When you say reset,
Mm-hmm.
what do you
All the
mean
wells.
specifically?
The wells.
Well, I mean, all the wells are gone. We lay low enough to survive whatever purge happens and whatever the casualties are. And then we remain afterwards in a better position than we are in now.
to help rebuild.
Not only, well, I guess help rebuild, but perhaps give us a little bit stronger of a foothold to continue keeping Narissa even further at a disadvantage.
Okay. What does that plan entail?
Well, this is an option that Quincy talked about. He had some people he could call or some calls he could make or something that he could do to sort of
With the black hand.
advise. Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I really like my plan. However, that seems to require a great deal of additional work and requires a lot of spinning plates. I think I like your idea better.
What do you think, Sullivan?
Here,
I don't have a
and
problem with it just because we have forever. Everybody is reduced, and by everybody I mean all those of our ilk within the city are reduced to base to nothing. We have to start over. So does she.
although she does have a number of centuries on us, I believe. Like
does.
She does,
quite a few.
but we don't have another monster of infinite power and ability at our nuts.
Black Hand is Sabbat.
She does.
Yes.
Yeah, so
But I'm just making. I'm asking. That's Black
Yeah,
Hand is Sabbat.
those people that we got from the other well that
We
have
should-
a thing on their hand.
We should go
Yeah.
with that plan. The best case scenario that we can hope to accomplish is that the Black Hand comes and wipes out elders just willy-nilly, and potentially she ends up on the tip of the fang, so to speak. And
Maybe.
that's the best case scenario.
Sure.
We
that's
don't
fair.
have any other. All we can hope for is that this shakeup does what it did 30 years ago, or however long it was since the last Sabbat attack. She's a greater threat than the value of our well,
Yes.
in
absolutely.
my opinion.
Absolutely.
I would agree with that.
I liked my plan, but boy howdy, yours seems much more, much more potentially fruitful for the entirety of humanity.
I think, regardless of what happens, we're stuck here now, right? I mean, there's no way we can. There's no way we could leave.
I mean, we could leave whenever we want, really,
Well,
but
yeah, but I mean, that
but
kind of
why?
resigns the
Unless we
city.
have to.
It's sort of us leaving. I feel like only would help tip things towards Narissa.
Well, we don't know what the future will bring.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Other
true.
than it's probably not going to be great. So I think that this might be the best use of our abilities and talents at this moment.
And as far as us leaving, I think there's many options before we have to do that.
Hell, we could just
But
go hang out
in
in
the
the
end,
suburbs and wait and see what happens.
right?
True.
But in the end, we can relocate anywhere and we'll be fine, and we know it. So I just kind of like it here.
All right. Well, I guess we're unified in our idea, our plan here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think so.
So we need to either
What?
contact or wait for Quincy.
Yeah, I think we were supposed to get in touch with Quincy when we knew what the fuck we wanted to do, right? Was
Right.
that, if I remember correctly? Okay.
So it's probably around 9 or so at night, and you go ahead and give him a call. The phone rings a couple times, and you hear him pick up. It sounds like he's on the road, like you're on like a Bluetooth, because you can hear like some ambient noise and like the sound of like a vehicle moving. He's like, "Yes,
Hey, it's Preston.
yep,
We've come to a consensus on how we'd like to move forward.
mm-hmm,
We'd like to go with the option that involves calling in a bunch of friends.
oh, okay. Are you at home?
Yes,
All right, I'll be there in about 20 or so."
sounds good.
And he'll hang up. Within about 15 or so minutes, you'll hear, well, first you'll see the headlights pull up and sweep through the windows of your guys' house. And you'll hear the car pull up, the door open and close, hear him walk up, and he'll step in. And when he opens the door, he's wearing like a casual like suit, like black slacks, black shirt, white button up that's kind of like unbuttoned at the collar. Closes the door behind him, and he's like, "All right, so what the fuck? I just called in a couple different nests from around the area, and now I have to tell them to leave because you want to call in the cult."
Well, that was one of the options that we were presented with.
Right, but you didn't seem like you were too interested in that one. So now I got to move out 20 other members of our family, which I can do. It's just, I wouldn't have called them in if I knew we were just going to nuke them.
Well, we had to deliberate, and
Right.
the situation is such that we just feel like, why take out one well when we could take out them all? Especially when we're dealing with somebody who is connected with us and powerful enough with us to, I don't know, communicate with all of us simultaneously in our sleep. Because we had that shit just happen.
Okay.
You're trying to bring us back into the fold.
And we just feel like if we take out the one well, it turns the clock back, a decade?
I mean, roughly.
That's nothing, really. If you think about it, it's a blink. It's nothing. But if we proceed with the nuclear option and take out everything, including probably the political climate in the city, then everybody's got to rebuild.
Well, so that's probably not going to happen. If you want me to call in Larson's people, they're not going to come in and swarm the city and kill everybody. They're just going to go after the wells.
Well, I'm assuming it won't be quiet.
Yeah, well, they'll be as quiet as they possibly can. I mean, all it takes is them going in and doing ritual, and boom, it's done. They just define them.
Well, and they don't think that there'll be any resistance.
I mean, they do this this is what they do. Like, I
So
don't.
so it's not like it's not like they come in and they take over the city. They would just come and attack the wells.
Right. They're not. I mean, they're not Sabbat. I mean, they function very differently.
I thought the Black Hand was the Sabbat.
That's what I thought too.
No, not in this case. This is a different type of cult. This is a bit more behind the scenes. Been very quiet for a very, very, very long time. And they got people around. They got enough of us with them that they view this type of thing as a threat. And that's why they have members of our family that are with them that completely shut down and close down Wells of Sacrifice to stop empowering the children by any means necessary.
If we call them in, the political climate in the city is the political climate in the city. That's not going to make a difference. But if we call them in and they destroy her well, it's going to set her back 10 years. And in that time, we can focus all of our attention on making sure she doesn't succeed in 10 years. It gives us a timetable.
Sure. I mean, but then they'll also be shutting all the other wells down. So she has to, it'll take longer than just 10. 10 would be like for a well of the size she has. But she has to go through and literally shut down, they'd have to get more support for the other parts of the ritual. Like, this is not like she just has one well, she does it right, boom, it's done. She has several connected to her, I guarantee it. If we shut down all those, she has to remake all those as well. She has to rebuild her strength for all those. And if she has people guarding those other wells, which she should, they're probably going to be dead, very dead, by the time that Larson's people show up and take care of them.
She does have chilled, and I would assume they're the ones that are going to be guarding her well.
I mean, what she has, how many you guys say, like, how many would you guess?
I think we saw at least, 4? And heard more in the back. We ran because they were coming to eat us.
So she's
got... So, yeah, at least 4.
Either way, this still, I think, is the best option and the least likely option, based on what you're saying, to cause the bad kind of chaos in the city.
I mean, sure. I mean, it would definitely throw things back quite some time for her and allow us time to kind of step in. I couldn't eliminate the possibility of the Larson's people staying around for a while to make sure nothing else pops up, especially not with something as powerful as her here.
Yeah, but time is the blink of an eye for us. So a couple years, couple decades, we can wait it out. I just
figure we can't kill her, and we can't have this being excavated from the lake and burned to death in the sunlight without...
Well, you could. Knows? It just wouldn't be quiet.
A massive shit show.
But the thing is about that not being quiet, it not being quiet still sort of fulfills it. Anyway, I think this is going to be the least messy option for us.
Fair enough. I can drop the call. Like, I know where a handful of her nests are right now that I could kind of cause some serious issues for her by dropping and dying. But then they're going to start sweeping through the city.
Now, because you have so many other cells here, could you, and knowing that the fight isn't over, we're just resetting the board, instead of moving them completely out, we can, move them to the suburbs or the surrounding states until everything calms down.
I have to send them back to what they're doing. Like, this is not meant to be a permanent thing. I moved them from their assignments to come here to assist in this before they go back to their other assignments. This is not the only shitstorm on my radar, so to speak, in the area.
Sure.
So
fair.
Like,
I've got just curious.
No, I've got other stuff I need them to do. I can't keep them away from those duties for forever.
Fair.
I will say, if you want to throw another monkey wrench in her program, I have some information. She's kind of corralled up almost all the caitiff in the city and has them held right now.
Oh, she has them. That's why they disappeared.
Well, when you think about
they were
it,
killed by First Light.
She ran out of Bahari.
Well, no,
That's true.
she grabbed the. What's a caitiff? Are they really clanless?
No,
No.
Every
they
caitiff has
just
a
don't know
clan,
what
right?
clan they're.
Right. So you guys went through and wiped out her sacrifices for the most part. So she grabbed all the caitiff.
That's fair.
That's one ritual away from finding out somebody's lineage, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So she
Or
finds
in her
out
case, maybe simply a taste of blood.
whatever the case may be for I don't know. But for me it makes sense to grab all the caitiff for a ritual like this. Those are her backups. If you want to take them out, I know where the fuck they are. A whole lot
Where are
of
they?
the yacht
Where
club.
are they?
Oh, they're back at the yacht club. Shit.
Yacht club.
I know she has a ton of her like mortal servants there, like a dozen or so. I pulled some strings with the Hakata, and I have a little gift in the car that might help with that. It's a little ghastly, but it works wonders. It's literally this like rotted flesh hand where the fingers have been turned into candles. They call it Hand of Glory. It'll put all mortals in that structure to sleep.
That'd make it
Okay.
easy to get in.
Very easy.
We just have to figure out how we want to kill them because none of us specifically are adept at wielding a sword.
Well, look at it this way. If she's got them corralled, they're either being restrained or they're staked. In which case, you just
Yeah,
light
that's
the
true.
building on fire. You guys do that a lot from what I hear. So,
That is doable.
Yeah, I'd be happy to burn that fucking yacht club, anyways.
That's fair.
it's something we can work on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm up for that.
I'm all about monkey wrenches in that bitch's plan. So
Well, I trust you all know where that club is at this point in time, given.
We do.
absolutely.
Yeah. And I've got the artifact in the car. I can just bring it in. You guys go whenever you want. I'll make some calls. I'm going to be out probably for the next couple of days. I'm going to have to get everybody to start slowly pulling out. However,
We have until the 26th. Remember.
yeah, but it's just going to look really weird if all of a sudden they find a bunch of unguarded like wells just abandoned. So I have to figure out how I'm going to handle that so it doesn't draw too much attention to be like, oh, there were more here. Let's go find them and hunt them down. So we'll have to figure out that portion. Or I will, anyways. I'm going to do that. I'll drop off the hand. Give me like maybe until next week. But call me if you need me.
All right.
Sure.
Yeah? All right. He'll head out the front door, and you'll hear him open his car door outside. You'll hear it open and close, and he'll walk back in. And he's got this, it's like a lunch, like one of those like lunch coolers. And he puts it down on the little island in your kitchen. He's like, all right, it's in there. Just light it up once you're in the building, and it'll do wonders for you.
We don't have. There's not like a incantation or
Nope.
anything. We just light the.
As
just
soon as you
'em
light
up.
the candles, they will all apparently just go down.
Fair.
Okay.
And he'll just kind of pat the top of the cooler. Call me if you need something, but I'm going to go start taking care of the rest of the cats. I'm going to herd everybody, and we're going to start making plans to pull them out while I contact the cult.
Sounds
So-
good. Well, if you need us, you know how to contact us too. So
Oh, I didn't get around to the Second Haven thing. I just did not have time with everybody showing up.
that's
we
all
had
right.
a lot
Chances
of
are,
issues.
chances are, with them coming in, going with this plan, we're probably going to retreat back to the suburbs or something. Anyways, kind of get out of the ground zero.
All right, well, I'll leave you all to it then. Just let me know where you're going to be at so I know where to go if I need to find you again.
Absolutely.
10-4, good buddy.
All right. He'll head out to the car. You'll hear his vehicle start up and pull out of the driveway.
Cool. I'll hop on the couch and turn on the TV at this point. Like, what are we gonna do but wait, you know? Unless we have some sort of plans for the night. I'll
Well, I
put
mean, we
on
can go start
the
getting
news.
some stuff.
What stuff?
Well, I was thinking like a pack of road flares, and then before we go to the yacht club, we need to get gasoline.
It's very dangerous.
Yeah, it's fire. I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
saying we get gasoline now. I'm on the way there, but we can get the road flares and shit and whatever else we want to grab.
Well, you got at least like one or two flares in a Lexus. So you have like a little repair, like roadside assistance kit.
Oh, all right.
So
fair
yeah,
enough.
you'll have like one or
And
two
then-
flares in that, and like a little cone and all that shit that in case you break down the highway or whatever. So you don't have to go out and get those. The gasoline definitely. I know how much you're a fan of gasoline and packing peanuts. So, but gasoline for sure you'll get later when you go in there. But yeah, you got flares. You got at least one or two.
Fair enough. Gasoline and packing peanuts are very useful, but very volatile.
When you get pulled into a dreamscape by the big bad of your campaign, I guess it's often a first impulse to say, get bent, get fucked, get out of here. We don't want to deal with you. However, in this case, I thought there was at least a small chance they might flip and start working with Narissa than against her. That got shot down real quick. And let me tell you, the plans they developed and started working with on how to ultimately deal with her were interesting. The one at the Hyatt would have been crazy. And the one they ultimately chose is going to have some serious repercussions for the rest of the city. But we'll get into that with next episode. See y'all then.